The Megalodon has to be one of the scariest monsters to ever exist. A shark that could grow up to 20 meters long with gigantic teeth is just a nightmare come to life. But despite its fame in pop culture, there are other ancient sea monsters that make the Megalodon look like a guppy. Let's dive into 5 ancient sea monsters you've never heard of. Number 5, the Kraken. The Kraken is probably the most famous sea monster out there. But if you ask most people about it, they will probably only be able to tell you that it's a huge squid. And that's not exactly wrong, except the Kraken was way more terrifying than your average squid. The legendary sea monster was first described by 12th century Norwegian sailors. It was said to dwell off the coast of Norway and was big enough to wrap its tentacles around an entire ship and drag it down to Davy Jones's locker. Unlike your average squid, which usually maxes out at 13 meters, the Kraken was said to reach lengths of 30 meters. So let's just say it had plenty of tentacles to go around. The stories of the Kraken inspired many famous works of art, including a famous painting by 19th century artist John William Waterhouse. But despite how famous the Kraken is, scientists have been unable to confirm its existence. They do, however, know that giant squids do exist. In fact, in 2004, a sperm whale washed up on a beach in New Zealand with a giant squid in its stomach. The squid was over 3 meters long, so while no one can say for sure if giant squids can reach the size of the Kraken, it is possible. Giant squid have also been known to attack humans. In 2005, a giant squid was caught on camera for the first time when it attacked a tourist submarine near Hawaii. Luckily, everyone was okay, but the incident shows that giant squid can be incredibly dangerous. So maybe the Kraken wasn't just a myth after all. No. 4. The Geryon. You'd probably be pretty scared if you saw a lion swimming towards you in the ocean, especially if it had 6 legs. Well, during the time of ancient Greece, people were terrified by the Geryon, a creature with the head of a lion, the body of a man, and 6 legs. That's right, we're dealing with a 3-headed hellhound here, so try not to get mauled by those claws and bitten by those fangs. According to Greek mythology, the Geryon was slain by the hero Heracles during his 6th labor. At the time, Geryon was guarding some cattle for his master, Geryon. Luckily for us mere mortals, the Geryon doesn't seem to have been real because we do not have to worry about being torn apart by a multi-headed lion monster. However, lions can swim quite well, so you might want to keep your distance from them if you see one in the wild. Even though the Geryon isn't real, there may have been some truth behind the legend. Some experts believe the Geryon may have been based off a type of manatee or dugong, both of which have paddle-like flippers that look like giant paws. Also, these sea creatures have been known to charge boats and swimmers, so they may have inspired tales of aggressive sea monsters. Number 3, the Cthulhu. When you imagine a fish monster, you probably think of something that looks like the legendary Loch Ness monster, Bigfoot, or a cross between a shark and a giraffe. But back in the time of the ancient Assyrians, they were terrified of a very different type of fish monster, the Cthulhu. This creature had a horse's head and was covered in sharp scales. It lived in the depths of the ocean and was known for eating entire ships. One of the scariest things about the Cthulhu was its ability to breathe fire, which made it even more deadly. Sailors weren't safe from its fiery breath. Neither were the boats they traveled on. But luckily for us, the Cthulhu never evolved past the size of a small fish. No ancient sailor would have survived an encounter with a gigantic fire-breathing horsefish. So maybe we should thank Mother Nature for that one. The Assyrians were known for their love of horses, so it's no surprise that they would create a monster that combined 2 of their greatest fears, the ocean and horses. After all, who wants to get gored by a horse's horn underwater? Number 2, the Amphiptere. When you imagine a bird monster, you probably think of something like a griffin or an enormous bird of prey. But during the time of ancient Greece, they were afraid of the Amphiptere, a monster with the body of a fish and the wings and head of an eagle. Talk about a scary combination. The Amphiptere was said to live in the Pontus Euxinus, now known as the Sea of Azov. People believed the monster grew to incredible lengths of 60 meters. So its wingspan must have been pretty huge, and the amphipter wasn't just big, it was also vicious. The monster would attack sailors and fishermen and tear their boats to shreds with its sharp beak and claws. But the most terrifying part of the amphipter was its deadly poison. Its saliva was so toxic that anyone who came into contact with it would die within minutes. Imagine being poisoned by a bird monster. That's definitely a new one. Despite how scary the amphipter was, there have been no confirmed sightings of it, so we may never know if this sea monster was real. However, we do know that poisonous birds do exist. The hooded pitohui is a bird found in Indonesia and is one of the most poisonous birds in the world. Its feathers can kill up to 10 people. So maybe the amphipter was just a very special case of a very poisonous bird. Number 1, the Lusca. Sharks are one of the most feared creatures in the ocean. Just one look at their razor-sharp teeth, and you'll know why. But if you thought sharks were scary, just wait until you hear about the Lusca, a monster that's part octopus, part shark, and pure evil. The Lusca was said to reach unbelievable lengths of 100 meters. Picture an octopus that big wrapping its tentacles around you. It would definitely be a tight squeeze. The Lusca was said to live in the Caribbean and would attack anyone who got too close. It was so strong it could pull entire ships under the water. But the most terrifying part of the Lusca was its intelligence. It was said to be very cunning and would use its tentacles to mimic human faces, then lure sailors to their doom. If that's not scary, we don't know what is. While the Lusca may sound scary, it's probably not real. There are no confirmed sightings of this monster and no evidence that it ever existed. However, there is some truth behind the legend. The Lusca is believed to have been inspired by the frilled shark. This shark can grow up to 2 meters long and has long, thin tentacles. It's not as big as the Lusca, but it could definitely be where the legend started. The frilled shark is also a very mysterious creature. It's rarely seen and is very elusive, which may have added to the mystery and fear surrounding the Lusca. Maybe next time you go snorkeling, you'll be face to face with a frilled shark. Thanks for watching. What's the scariest sea monster you've ever heard of? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. See you next time.